what is ArangoDB, and how to use with Java. In this video, I explain to you more about this NoSQL database plus how to use it step by step using live code with Java. Hey you! Welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is Otavio Santana. I'm glad to help you to become a better software engineer, learning and applying more around software architecture, software design, documentation, tests, and leadership. So if you want to become an ultimate software engineer, this channel is for you, so subscribe. ArangoDB is a NoSQL database multi-value type. If you are not familiar with this terminology, remember that NoSQL database does not have any standards like we do have in relational database. What we do have instead is the types, where is defined by the way that we're going to store this information. The most popular ones are four: the key value, that looks like a map if you're a Java developer, or a dictionary. The search and insertion going to be by the key, and then it's going to return the value. The second one is the wide column. That is a fancy way to handle with key value, where you have the key, you look for the key, but the information, instead of have a huge block like we do have in key value, we do have multiple tiny pieces of information that we call columns. Document is the one that looks like a JSON or XML file structure. And finally, graph database, that we can do deeper relationship, deep than a relational database, where you do have an object to handle directions and properties inside that relationship. And finally, we do have the multi-value. The multi-value is when a NoSQL database can do more than one type capability. In this case, with ArangoDB, we can handle with the key value structure, the document structure, and the graph structure using a single database. So instead of you having three NoSQL instances, you can have a single one, ArangoDB, and based on this one, you can use those three different database structure.
Okay, first thing first, please make sure that your database is running. You can install locally, but to be honest, my opinion is super straightforward, super easy using Docker. You only need to execute this command and done. In my life as software engineer, I have been using Docker for a while, and super fascinating how happy it is to handle and work with several 30 services outside my application. So using ArangoDB with Docker is super easy to go. So in this case, I will run this docker run command here, and then I will check the browser. Oops, that's not working. So I will do a play and then check again. And as you can see, we finally do have the database working. With the database running, it is time to go and create a little bit of code. The goal here is to explore more the capability of multimodel inside this database, ArangoDB. So we're gonna create two cases, one using Keyvalue database and another one using document into a single database instance. This way you can explore more the capability of multimodel into a single instance, exploring ArangoDB. So I will return to my IDE. I am already in the key value package, and then I will create my class. So I come here. Let's use the airport sample. So I will create my airport class where I have my code and then my airport name. Okay, I have both. I will do a getters for both. I will define equals hash code using the ID only, the code. So not you, but you. I will use the toString here as well. And finally, I will create my public static method to airports. But instead of using these two parameters, I will use a faker instance here. So I do have my airport faker instance. I will create my aviation instance. No avatar, not you, aviation, where I will come here. I'm gonna use the airport, and here airport name. This way I do have my class, and let's make it compatible with Jakarta NoSQL. So if you're not familiar with Jakarta NoSQL, it has a goal to achieve the integration between Java and NoSQL database using and exploring more the annotation-driven way. So given I do have my entity, I just need to put a couple of annotations. So if you're familiar with Jakarta persistence, the former JPA is pretty similar. So I want to define this class as an entity. I'm gonna use the entity annotation. The code will be the ID, so ID annotation, and finally the name, where I will define as a field to be persistable inside the database. So right now I have my entity, and let's create our app class. So I'm using Java SE with CDI weld. So I will create my public static void main, then my faker instance. So new faker, thank you. And then I will create my CDI container. So I will export try with resource. I will create my SE container. Let's see what's going on here. This time we won't use the repository, the capability from Jakarta data, but we focus only on Jakarta NoSQL. This way, instead of inject repository, we're gonna use Keyvalue template. So templates, this one here gonna be a template. And once we are talking about a Keyvalue template, let's create the airport, right? And then I will put, and finally I will get the return of the airport. So I'm gonna execute the code, and let's see what's going on. And as you can see, I do have my airport and my airport name. When I go to my database, let's see, let's use the airport. Let's take a look on the contact, and as you can see, we do have our database. Okay, Kronberg, and that's the name, not you, so Kronberg, that's the name. And if you're asking where those configuration coming from, Eclipse NoSQL requires microprofile configuration for now, so I'm using those properties. So for Keyvalue, we're gonna use the airports, and to cloud, we're gonna use clouds as simple. Each one gonna see later. Given we do have the Keyvalue, let's go a next step and create our sample using document database. So I'm coming here. I will create my package called document this time. So I come here. I will create my document. So my document. This time we're gonna explore cloud providers. So I come here. My first step is to create my cloud provider. That will be my empty. This time, let's explore more because with document we do have more capabilities. So string region, and let's do the heritage here. Discriminator column. Let's use type. We do have ID region. Let's do the equals hash code here using the ID. Done. Now what we're gonna do, let's create two providers using the same capability. So I will start creating AWS cloud provider. So AWS cloud provider, where it will extend cloud provider. It is an empty, and the discriminator value gonna be AWS. So it is pretty forward if you come from Jakarta persistence former JPA. So account ID, and naturally let's do the getter. Let's define this one as column. Let's use the toString here. And finally, let's create a static method. So public static AWS cloud provider, but instead of receiving these, we're gonna use again faker instance. So come here, let's use AWS. So in account ID, let's come here, account ID, the region, let's use region, and finally the ID, let's use UUID here. So you finally do have the AWS cloud provider. As you can see, let's define the annotations. So this one here gonna be the ID, it is one gonna be the column. And let's create another one, this time Azure provider. So I come here, I will create my Azure cloud provider. This one here is pretty similar, so I will define as empty. The discriminator value will be Azure. I will extend again my cloud provider, and then let's see, it did almost right. So tenant ID, I will, not you, but I will define the getters. I will define the toString. I will define the annotation, and as usual, I will create my static method. So, whoa, finally, I do have my faker that will return the information that I wish. So right now, we do have a cloud provider that is based from two cloud providers, AWS and Azure. As you can see, again, if you are pretty familiar with a Jakarta persistence, JPA is pretty similar to this one. So let's come here and let's create our application. So I come here, I will create my public static void main. I will do the usual and create my faker instance, and then I will do my try with resource using the SE container. This time SE container initializer, new instance, initialize. And then I will inject my template. So this time using my document template. I will create a for it. So where what I'm gonna do, I will create a list of cloud providers. So I will create AWS provider, Azure provider, and then I will insert both. And finally, what I'm gonna do, I will come here, my template, select cloud provider class for it, no you. Okay, it doesn't have, so string for it, print only alien. Like cloud providers in the database. So we're gonna run, and as you can see, we do have AWS and Azure instance running. And when you go to the database, let's change the airport to clouds. We do have our cloud providers here, and as you can see, we do have the type as column, so Azure to be an Azure instance, AWS to be a AWS instance, and so on. So today we could cover and explore more the capability of ArangoDB being a multimodel NoSQL database. This way you can explore Keyvalue, document, and graph database. In this tutorial, we explore two types, the Keyvalue and also the document, using two different types, where with document, as you can see, I could explore more capabilities than using Keyvalue. That is it for today. Please let me know your thoughts, and naturally put your comments, because I'm super glad to learn from you. So are you using ArangoDB? Is the first time that you heard about this database? And are you familiar with Jakarta and Jakarta NoSQL ecosystem? So please let me know.